Now in today's lesson, the areas we'll be focusing on, this particular panel, is this bottom portion here, featuring the shell centerpiece, the birds back to back, the free hanging ropes, and this main center drop piece. And what we're going to focus on is how to place the birds back to back to give more dimension, more depth, how to install this type of bird, how to put the rope pieces back to back, and how to twist in midsection and install and secure them to the birds. How to take this particular piece, and as it comes out of the mold, it only represented as one side of a drop, or the right side. I'm going to show you how to take this piece and cut and move pieces to make it appear to be a left and a right piece. And also the shell, we're going to show you how to take the basic flat shell and build up the back of the piece to give it more dimension and more depth. The most important tool for the composition installation is a 2-burner hot plate, such as this one here. We like it because it's portable and goes anywhere. It's tough, very durable. You can pick it up at any restaurant supply store, as well as this top stainless steel pan, Series 400. You can pick them up at any restaurant supply store, and they're very tough and durable. And what we do is we fill this up about halfway full of water. And if you're working close, say in your home, and you have a project that you can move into your kitchen, you can work directly off your stove. All we ask for is that you create a low controlled steam coming from the hot water, and place a cloth. What we like is an unbleached muslin because it's very tough and lasts. And we just stretch this over the top, clip it on with clothespins. There again, just items you have kicking around the house. The most important aspect of this is just to create a tough, fairly taut surface. So when you place the piece on the cloth, it doesn't pull down inside and touch the water. Now what we normally do is leave one corner open, and this enables us to dip our tools in there as we need them. So here you see the one exposed corner. And a lot of times, which is most important, is just to keep the cloth very moist, very wet, and this enables the steam to travel through the cloth a lot more easier, and also lets your ornaments steam quicker and more efficiently. So just about every time we go to place an ornament, we'll wet it down first with the hot water. Okay, this is basically the same setup as you just saw, except that we found that from moving in and out of job sites a lot, we tend to lose a lot of clothespins. So what we built was just a little frame-like apparatus that fits directly over the pan, that keeps our cloth nice and taut, and still have our holes available for dipping our brushes and miscellaneous tools in for the hot water. And then again, it's very easy to take on and off, so you can fill and or empty the water at great considerable ease as compared to the clothespin situation. Okay, the first problem is creating a template from your design. Now, since the book is in a 1/4 inch to 2 inch scale, all you simply have to do is reduce your drawings down to that particular scale. And by the use of tracing paper, you can take and trace around the outside edge of your particular ornament. Throw in a little detail. And once you trace all your individual ornaments, you can take this piece, and it will be to scale to every other page in the catalog, take this to your blueprinters and have them blow it up to full size, creating a working template. If you have a copy machine, that enables you to enlarge or decrease your drawings. You can take the drawing from the book and blow it up to actually the same size. And by cut and paste, you can use that as your template, or simply take a piece of graph paper and mark your center mark, and take the piece of ornament, the actual ornament, and just trace around the outside edge, and then use this as your working template. So once you've created your template using any one of the previous methods, the trickiest part is to transfer the template to the working surface, which is here behind you. Now what we have done, we have already marked the center lines, both vertically and horizontally, and we marked the center line on our template vertically. So what we have here is a piece of graph paper. What we do is flip this down and simply secure our template to the graph paper. And so this tool here is a little pen knife, X-Acto knife, which you can pick up at any one of your hardware stores, stationery stores. And with this knife, we're going to make a small little visual window through both sets of paper. And what this does, this enables us to see through the template, through the graph paper, so we can line up our center lines on both the panel and the template. And once you are happy with the positioning, we simply secure that with a piece of masking tape. And run the ends out. Okay, what is that? Once that is done, just simply trace around the outside edge of your piece. As you can see, you don't have to be extremely accurate, but just so you have the basic idea as to where the placement of the ornament goes, because once you install the ornament, you can fine-tune it once it's down. Okay, once you think you're all finished tracing, slowly peel back the paper and just double check to make sure all your impressions are there. Now what we did here is we zoomed in on the working surface to show you the transferred drawing from the template onto the panel area. And these will be the guidelines that all you need to install your ornament. The more accuracy put into the template and the tracing, the better your working finished product will be, due to accuracy being centered from left to right, top and bottom. Now, a lot of times we'll take a piece such as this one and we'll cut it in different areas and use pieces of a particular piece and use them in other areas of the design. Okay, what I'm going to do is take this is called a head knife, or it's a leather working tool, and we use this a lot here in cutting shaping the ornament, what I'm going to do here is remove these tassels, and we're going to use this in another area of the design. What we're going to do is take the penknife and sit here and carve out the detail, sculpt it out a little bit until I'm satisfied with the shape and erasing the carving, the cutting marks. And or you can use the penknife just to cut the ornament also. The ornament being a nice, soft, pliable, dough-like material, and it cuts very easy. Okay, now it's time for steaming the ornament. So we'll just pick up the ornament, place it on the cloth, which has already been moistened by the water brush here. And when the steam hits the back of the ornament, it draws out the glues that are already built into the composition. And what you'll get is a nice pasty, gluey background on the back of your piece. And depending on the freshness of your piece, it only takes between 30 seconds to a minute. For instance, this piece here is all ready to be steamed and laid. Okay, so we do take it, pretty much align it according to your template drawings, and once you feel satisfied as to where the piece goes and is lining up properly, then go ahead and start laying it down. And as you lay it down, move the piece back and forth, and you can feel the piece actually grip and bond to your working surface, be it wood, plaster, mirror, glass. And as you can see, you still have a lot of time to sit and play with your piece. Now, with a small artist brush with damp bristles, what we do, we go back and pick up the excess glue that is pushed out from behind the ornament, just to help try and keep a clean working surface. If you need be, dip it back in the hot water. And just pick up that glue. Now the situation is, we have a panel design that requires a left and right ornament, but this particular piece only comes in one side. So by cutting a few of the key elements, we can create the illusion of the piece being a left and a right. So we'll lay this area down. We'll take these leaves that originally were on the bottom and just place them coming off the top here. Now with this sculpting tool and this raw compo material, which we sell by the pound, what I'm going to demonstrate now is filling and packing the joints and splicing areas. For instance, right here, where we took and spliced this piece of ribbon on to carry the effect of a left and right, let's take a small bit of this material while it's still warm and just work it into that joint using the end of the tool. And then with the warm water on the end of a brush, sit there and just detail it out until it sculpts and blends the material in to create the illusion of just being one solid ornament. And the same thing up here. We're either remove and reattach these two leaves, sit there and detail with a brush. Maybe re-emphasize any detail with the tool. Now you don't want to use too much water because you will eventually erode and dissolve the detail in the ornament, because the ornament is a water-soluble casting. A lot of times with the pieces that are flatter in profile, such as the shell, to get more dynamics out of more shape, what we'll do is we'll build it at the back and curve it forward. In this instance, what we're going to use is a block of the raw material. What I'm going to do is cut a couple of strips out. Place these on the steamer. And at the same time, place the shell on. Now, I'm going to put this excess material up towards the top. And what this is going to do is act as a pusher to push the top of the shell out away from the board, and also act as a support so the compo has something to rest on. If need be, we'll trim away some of the excess material we feel we don't need. I simply push in with one hand and pulling out with the other. And making sure the shell gets a good solid attachment towards the base in the center of the shell. And with the back of the ornament, push it and pull it out until you start getting a shape that you like. So making sure everything's on your center lines, all lined up beautifully. Yeah, in the back here you can see the position of the ornament and how this is backed. This is the ornament, this is the back, so you get an extra ½ inch of depth. And then now what we do to fill that void is we'll take more of the pointing material and we'll go over that seam. Just like frosting a cake. And with the tool, get it basically smooth. And go back with my brush for the final smoothing. You could even use your backside of your brush to help give you that detail. To make it look like as if it was one solid carving. Okay, in this next segment, we're going to show you how to take the flat standard birds, steam them, and place them back to back to create a left and right bird. This one being solid. Okay, what we do is we take ½ we steam only ½ So we're going to take and stick the 2 halves together. Working, pressing, making sure that all layers are together. And then where the birds don't match up absolutely perfect, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take the trimming knife and I'll trim back the detail a little bit until I get a perfect left and right. This gives me a nice clean edge and a perfect left and right situation. Now to attach the bird, what we do is take a blob of the raw material and use it as an adhesive and stick it down on the high points. Line the bird up with the template lines until we're satisfied. Now for you folks at home doing this for the first time, you can simply use a hammer and nail and place it in the thick body of the bird. Go ahead and hammer it, nail it, and use your nail set to set the nail, just for a security reason, just to give it something solid to rest on. But what we use here is a little nail gun. It's run off of air, and what this does, it chews a very small, thin nail, and it leaves a very tiny nail hole. And we enjoy using it because it's very quick and easy, and you can nail as many nails as possible, or just as fast as your finger will go. But the most important, it leaves a very tiny hole. And with a little tiny hole, it makes it very simple to go back and do your touch-up. Then come back with a brush, smooth it. And the bird's on there very securely. By only attaching the main body of the bird, it gives you the illusion that the bird is in flight due to the no contact of the wings back behind the molding. If you want, you could even place wire inside the main body, so you could take this and bend it out and have it stay in the position you want it to stay in. Same with the main wing up here. You can twist this out, twist this out. Now, the two tassels that we cut off earlier are then again faced with the same problem of them both being the same side. So what we're going to do is take a knife and cut. Just switch the longer one to the other side. Put a bend into it. Just by doing this simple act, we create the illusion of having a left and right ornament. And then here we're going to freely just place at the underneath side of the bird. Now, in combining the small pieces of rope, the problems that we ran into is when you match the elements or the detail on the bottom half of the ornament, such as in this picture here, what happens when you rotate it around on the other side, the line flow is off a little tiny bit. And so the problem we did to alleviate this, so that the bottom half matches as well as the top half, let's get that focused in, or that matches, plus that matches, what happens is on the back line, we cut the ornament in half, and we shift the back of the ornament back and forth so both elements line up on, say, that side as well as this side. Okay, so the way we do this, we take the head knife, We'll cut one of the pieces in half. Okay, turn this piece upside down and take these two halves and put them on the steamer. Now you must be careful because a piece this thin, being as thin as it is going to steam very, very quickly, so don't go away and leave it. You find the instance where you do run away and leave it, all you have to do is take it off and place it on the cardboard front upside down and let it dry, and after about 15-20 minutes you can reuse it. Okay, so I'm going to take this, lay it down, and match now the second half. Go ahead and match. Now with your detail brush, go back and clean it up. Just so you match the detail from side to side. Now if you really want to get into it, you can take and clean out every joint with the knife.
See how designed, and you can see how well the joint has been detailed and flows. And on the very back of the ornament, you can see where the piece has been spliced together, where the two halves came together. And that splice is what you want to hide when you go to place your ornament. So what you do is when you place your ornament upon the panel, just merely lie that joint up against the panel itself. And so all the person sees is just the completed rope design from top to bottom. And then again, you can see the flexibility of the ornament. And the first thing to do is just kind of figure out where you want to place it and have it come into your design. And once you've established the points of contact, let it drop and get your nail gun or hammer nails, whatever you want to use it to install it, attach it, and go ahead and place it. In this instance, I'm going to push it up underneath the body of the bird and attach it with a couple small nails. And then again up just to the other side of the shell, and then again put in a couple nails. The nails are more than enough to hold it in place, and then again you can see the flexibility. As we bring the other piece up into it, just to add a little more character to it, what we're going to do is twist the line and attach one end, and then we're going to take the one rope and weave it back underneath the original rope, just giving a little more flair, as they say, and then tuck it up underneath the body of the bird and hit it with a nail, and it's set. Now you might want to fine-tune it afterwards and just make sure the swags have a nice consistent bend to them, a nice flow. And then afterwards you might want to go at the point of contact where the ropes meet the bird and the shell. Go back with a wad of the raw material and sit there and use that as an additional bonding agent to sculpt and work into the joints, because once that material itself dries, it'll act as a cement, per se, and really seal the ornament and keep it from breaking loose. So take the brush and work it in, smooth it out, push it back down in all the crevices. And then the same on the other side, work it back underneath the body of the bird, in around the tassels, cover some of the nail holes, pack it in with a tool, and then again pack it in there and brush it back with the brush.
Now in this particular instance, we have traced the panel and laid the panel on the area, but for this particular applique, which we'll see in a few minutes, we've cut the backing surface to fit a particular door panel. Now, to fill in the voids outside of the template area, all we're going to do is simply lay in a scroll, to take up this additional blank area. But then you're still left with the problem of what do you do with this particular area. Now, using this composition ornament as a template, what we're going to do is simply, using a pencil, trace around the outside edge of the scroll. And what we're going to do in a few minutes is take a jigsaw and cut this away. So when we remove the scroll, you have a pencil line as your guide as to where to cut with a jigsaw. Now also here, this particular scroll comes with a backing area, and it's your choice either to leave it in, or if you want, you can take a trimming knife and cut it loose. And this can also help give you a little extra dimension for your ornament after it's completely installed and finished. Now, using just a simple Bosch type electric jigsaw, we're going to show you how to take and cut away all this excess material we won't be needing for the panel. So by removing the scroll, it's going to expose the lines that we drew, and that'll act as our template. Okay. you can always double check your cut simply by taking the piece back, placing it back on the cut area. If need be, you can always go back and chew it up, trim it up. Okay, so the next step would be steaming the ornament onto the backing. Bring the ornament back in. Go ahead and work it. Make sure you get a firm bond. Nice consistent radiuses. After you've laid your ornament, go back with a pointing material, cover the joint such as here, with a bit of the raw material. Just so the intersection of the two pieces mix as if they were one piece rather than a combination of several pieces. This is very important for when you start your finishing. And take your brush, add a little hot water, come back with your tool, smooth out the intersection. Now in this shot we panned back so you could see the difference between the cutout variation of the scroll and the scroll left with a solid back. Now if you want, if you don't have access to a jigsaw, you can always do is take some simple panel molding and go ahead and run it off your edges just to complete and frame in the whole entire panel. We prefer the open back look because it has a much more intricate custom look to it, especially being applied to a custom pre-finished surface such as a wall or mirror or glass. Okay, now in this particular shot, what we're looking at is the edge of the composition shell and the edge of the uncut masonite. And if you look closely, what we have here is a very rough cut. Now to eliminate this so that it all looks like one continuous ornament, what we're going to do is take a small wad of the raw material and just butter up against the two pieces and just start shaping and forming the raw material much like you would frost a cake, for instance. Just to hide that edge where the two meet, where the ornament and your backing surface meet. And even if you'd like to, you could even come back a day later with a piece of fine grit sandpaper and sand it back to get ultra smooth, to get one beautiful finished surface. But with a good shaper, the pointing tool, and some little hot water, it's not really necessary.